I think you can hear me. Anyway, can I see it? There we go. Three green dots. Greetings, everybody. Greetings, everybody. Greetings to everyone. Too weird if I do that every time. Anyway, this will help here. Welcome to Moge. My name is Chimoge, aka Moge. You can see me on the screen. As you can see today, this live stream, I'm talking about the government shutdown, which just ended, but that was crazy. Let me get right into it. Let's pray first. Let's let that be the prayer. I don't want to over pray. You have to pray, but you can't over pray. Because after a while, it's like, why would you just pray and not act? The spirits get angry anyway. Look, I'm out of rhythm. I think it's nice when I actually say it. No, I think the problem is English. Neptune, God of the sea. Check out my video on Neptune on Chimole's comments. Anyway, let me actually put that in there. I won't put in the link because those of you who used to watch my live streams before will know I used to do all sorts of things. I'm not going to be doing all sorts of things. I'm just going, and then I'll leave. Wow. Yeah, I'm just going and then I'll leave, man. I'm not the technology fiddler. Yeah. Anyway, let's advertise that. Wow, this is daily advertising. Wow. People are really bad at business. Yeah, people are bad at business. Let me square up the camera. Right in the world. I am very concerned by the now over government shutdown. USA crisis. That's the title of the live stream. Let's go. Let's get into the uku, the leg, the four. So we have some rats leading our society today. And I want to be clear, I'm talking about the Republicans. Those of you who've been following me know that I'm not a fan of the Democrats. I've been staunchly against them. But I want to be clear, when dealing with the flawed structure that is the United States government, let me just say the group that rules the United States. Like, am I really against? I don't want to name a department, but I'm not one of these people who's gonna dig up some obscure department. Well, there's bad things going on in the corners, but you know what I mean. I'm not Alex Jones. Let me just say that I'm not that guy. I'm not gonna be just. Anyway, I hope you know what I mean. The point is, I'm not doing stupid things. So I don't want to just blanket label every aspect of the government as bad, although the structure is flawed. But deeper than that, we just have a group of ruling people that is very flawed, and there are groups within the groups that fight. Anyway, the whole reason I bring that up is Democrats are flawed. But my strategy is to shine the light on the people who are most in power. Right now, that's the Republicans. And I'll just leave it at that for now. I'll just also add this in. Republicans and Democrats have significant overlap. And that is because there are a lot of Democrats who are also Republicans. Let me say it like that. I'm going to do a lot on that in the future. Yeah. Anyway, the whole point is right now I'm criticizing Republicans. Republicans did a lot of stupid things, shut down the government for 43 days. According to my ancestors, 43 is the number of one of the things. It's called, in my language, okay, that means the rat. You could also call it the blessing. The idea of that is a thing that can cause significant shifts in fortune. It could either be good or bad. If it's good, it's a blessing. If it's bad, it's a rat. The term rat could be neutral, but if that thing's really good, try and not just call it a rat. That's a very interesting thought. Another thing to think about, rats are very versatile and strong creatures. They can do a lot of positive things. Keep in mind, we don't know everything going on in their society. I'm sure they do a lot of positive things, but they can do a lot of negative things. If, say maybe an evil person sees a rat and runs away, because those are big, scary animals. I know people like to pretend like rats and the small ones that people call mice are exactly the same. I'm talking about a standard rat, one of those things, or one of the other ones that looks that big, right? You like to pretend that's not a scary animal. It's a very scary animal. So if that scares a bad person, that's good. If it comes into the house of a good person and attacks them, that's a crime against humanity, okay? So what I'll say is we have people who were behaving like rats and deprived the people of their livelihood for 43 days. So I think we had a time of bad blessing, which is possible. Um, so yeah, 43 days the government was shut down. That's well over a month. A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of society was just broken down, and people are still recovering. Reports seem to indicate that the government is I'll just say the government. I mean, you can have a Republican head, and then you have some Democratic clerks that are working to do something just because of where they're positioned. But again, this is the fault of the Republicans. Um, I'm just gonna say that. I'm just gonna say that because there's no reason to do all this. Because I don't know. It's like, how is your man at the top, and then you allow for a situation where you have the longest government shutdown in history? I mean, planes weren't flying. They say they're going to give the government workers that laid off back pay. I mean, they were without pay for that time. Are you going to give them interest? I don't know. I don't know. That's terrible. Anyway, that's the point. So um, we had a rat time, and then people were meant to suffer as if they were not human beings. So anyway, let me just leave it at that. I don't want to say too much. I integrate this with a rhythm. Hi, my name is Chima Oge. By the way, please never call me Chima Oge. That's not my name. Chima Oge. Chima Oge. No, 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 no. Chima Oge. It goes together. Chima Oge. Chima Oge. Even though it is 4 words. No, it's 3 numbers. It's 3 words. I'm sorry. Ancestors are telling me something. A lot of knowledge is a lot. Anyway, let's be simple. That's 3 words. Chi. Most people, I'm going to keep it simple just so you guys know. Most people who speak, I'm just going to say it like this. People who speak my language and call it Igbo, I'll just say it like that. Again, you know my position on this. People who speak my language and call it Igbo say Chi now means something like God. They'll say that it refers traditionally to something called a personal God. I'm just going to leave it like that. It's a muddled concept. My ancestors told me it means monster. I believe them just because, one, there's not much outer information on that. Two, if you consider the concept of personal God, that seems pretty creepy. Just some big, powerful entity just there for you. Like, is it staring at you? What is it doing? And it's parenting you all by itself. No, they told me Chi means monster. I believe that. Also, another piece of evidence is that before really, at least the 80s, maybe the 90s, names with Chi in them were not that common. So that's just something new that people, I'll just say Christians were doing to try and look less white. Anyway, I mean, they're black in terms of their race and category of life, but in terms of what they were trying to aspire to be, they were aspiring to be white, and then they were covering it up by giving their kids weird names in their language. Something like Chinon. So God is close. What does that do for the child? And again, to be clear, not every single Chi name is bad. For example, the name Chibueze, apparently that means Shango. It's really like, if you want to say it, it's like his monsters are the leader. Basically, that's a very aggressive guy. So if you have a very specific aggressive guy whose being is majority of Magyoga, let me say that, and that it has a specific character, and that comes out as a version of Shango, because within a Madioha, just like all the other things, there are different archetypes, right? Because for context, the reason I've been talking more about the things, one of the main reasons I want to come up, let me just say it like this. English is hard to speak collectively, but let me just say it like this. I just saw 1111. Basically, I'm just trying to come up with a new personality archetype to help people understand themselves. So I've looked into so-called African spirituality. In particular, out of that, I think the best personality archetype is in the Ifa. I'll just call it group to be respectful. Again, I don't. I think there's a lot of flaws in the group to be respectful, but I don't want to go into that now. But anyway, the personality archetype is the best I've seen out of the African spirituality groupings. I'll say that. But there's other things, like there's the INFJ thing. And then, of course, there's astrology, which is the best personality archetype thing we have available. So check out your astrology chart. Again, it's still a starting point. It's not complete, but that's something. Anyway, the point I'm making is that basically, if someone self is majority a Madioha, a good husband of the people, right, and the character is Shango, right, you can name them Chibueze, because it's just saying he's a really extreme, aggressive person, which is not a bad thing. It's just kind of, it's extreme. It's something to laugh about. You know what I mean? So, for example, the name Chibueze, let me spell it. Shout out to all the, well, not every single Chibueze, that's kind of crazy. I don't know every single Chibueze. But shout out to the good Chibueze's name out there. Let me get lowercase. Let me do it uppercase. Really, I'm really not a fan of lowercase writing. It's hard to read. I think people need to use uppercase more and then just speak more. But anyway, if you look at it, that's 3 words. Chi, monster. BOUT. It means, if you're translating to English, is. It also means carrying. It also means packing. What it is, if you roll that all together, it's saying that that thing is integral to your being. It's merged with you on the deepest level. And then you can extend that out to talk about like carrying. Like, for example, if you think of it metaphysically, now that I'm touching this and holding this, it is a part of me to some extent. So, Anamebuya, I am carrying it. And to extend also is me. You see what I'm saying? So anyway, Chi, BOUT, and then Eze. And the word Eze means leader. People now use it to mean king. I think it's better to just call it leader. But I understand where they're coming from. And then it also refers to structural integrity. So yeah, and also the word first mover, cool, coolness. Because if something's cool, it's going to be some sort of leader, because people will look at it and will demand a positive response. So they're going to begin doing something. But anyway, if you look at that name, Chibueze, I mean, if you just do a very, because again, another thing to keep in mind with names is that in order to name someone properly, you actually have to know what you're referring to. You can't just spread words on a page. I think that's communication. You have to have context now. You can just emerged from hell with words. I mean, and to be fair, let me just smack white culture. They're naming their sons Peter and Paul. So when I'm going at people in my group, it's hard to even refer to about themselves. But when I'm referring to, let me just say, when I'm referring to other black people, particularly black people who come from a group that I've also been grouped in, keep in mind they're never the number one target, because the cause of the naming crisis we have in the world today is white people who go around naming their sons Peter and Paul. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'll be quite frank. When you look at it metaphysically, the names white people give themselves are very inappropriate. Okay, so I have to say these things twice now. All right, let's focus on Chibueze. This is a very good name. Um, um, Again, the name has to match the person now. Like for example, what's an example I could use? Okay, for example, Amadioha, the good husband of the people. Oh no, let me use Kalakana, the greatest man alive. Are you gonna name every man the greatest man alive? Is every one of your sons? No, now. So, under this, you have to admit some people are better than others now. What if everyone's the best? That's like, what does Real Madrid have going on? The Galacticos? Um, Although, I mean, okay, let me just say their team didn't, that Galacticos team, the first one did not, okay, let me just say this. The first Galacticos team, I want to be careful here, right? It did not win um, to the extent that it was hyped to win. Let me just say that. That does not really mean it's a failure. It's just that the team had significant flaws, and one of the flaws was actually the branding, actually. But anyway, the whole point I'm making is, for those of you who don't know, I'm talking about professional soccer, men's soccer. Again, that's not the entirety of professional soccer. But in the early 2000s, the club Real Madrid assembled a team that was branded the Galacticos, means the superstars. And they just put a bunch of very famous attacking players together, and they did not reach the goals that was set out for them, publicly at least. I don't know what their private goals were. But anyway, the whole point I'm making is that, you know, here's a better way to say this. I'm kind of, I think because I'm debuting somewhat new concepts, I can't be here forever. Let me just go. The point is, not everyone can be the king now. That's crazy. But that, I mean, does everyone want to be the king? Even, let's get real. Does every leader want to do every leadership thing? Again, I've done my stuff about the eagle, the overseer. I'm a leader, right? I am not the overseer. To be the overseer, you have to be getting into people's business. I do not get into people's business. If people are doing something weird, I tell the eagle, hey, get on that. Hey, get on that. Come back to me when you figure out what that is. I'm not the guy to just jump into a weird situation. If you see me in a weird situation, I was ambushed, and you have to. If you see me in a weird situation, I was ambushed, and someone else should come dispel the situation, because I'm an explosive personality. And explosive personalities in odd situations, within the bounds and ethics of violence, it causes other people significant stress. Anyway, let's talk about Chibueze. whenever I start stumbling on words, I know two things. One, I've been talking too much, and two, English is terrible. Anyway, by the way, just because I've been talking too much doesn't mean I shouldn't be saying what I'm saying. I think for context, I have just gonna say it. They're relatives of mine. This has always come out. Lord have mercy. When you come out of bed, people always. Neptune, Neptune, God of the sea. Neptune, Neptune, you go see. Let me just go. Okay, let me get serious. So there's I have some relatives of mine, I'll just say it like that, who believe that I shouldn't be speaking publicly because everyone's supposed to crawl into a hole with a bag on their head like a rat. Either that or you have to be at least 70 to show your face. Just clear that out. I'll finish that train later if it's necessary. Let's talk about Chibueze because that's actually something valuable, and then I'll make the rest of my points about this government shutdown. Yeah, Trump is really limiting people's speech. I'll say that anyway. So anyway, so Chibueze, if you do a very basic translation, because again, now when people name their son that, because it's a name that's given to men, virtually exclusively. There might be some women named Chibueze, but it's a name that's generally given to men. To be clear, I don't want to say it can't be given to women because I don't know. I'm learning a lot more about names, so I'll just leave it at that. But anyway, what they're trying to say, what they take it to mean is God is king, and you shouldn't just name your child a nice idea. Remember Peter and Paul. Peter and Paul. Before you look at black people, just look at all those white people named Peter and Paul. This is my favorite. They named their son John, and the nickname is. What's the nickname? And we all know the Richard phenomenon. There's a nickname for Richard. Honestly, I need to do a video on the name Chibueze. It'll tell a lot about naming. But let's just go. People use it to mean God is king. That's not what it means. Chi means monsters. If you do a very basic translation, it means monster is the leader. Again, that's crazy, but if you do a holistic look at it, given what Shango is, and I'll give a caveat to that in a second because that's very important. Because again, there's different types of leaders, right? Really means the monster is his leader and his structural integrity is monstrous. So basically, he's a beast. Really, another way to translate that is he's a beast. Caveat to this is Shango is what is known as Onyeke Jin. He's an outer limits person, not the bad kind, but it's just he lives primarily in a different realm, right? And in that realm, the rules are different. So if he were to do what he does in his realm in the world, that would be bad. So if you have someone whose archetype is Shango, they're a very just person. Let me say it like that. It's just gonna be kind of wild. So basically, that's a wild leader. So basically, if it's appropriate to name someone Chigweze, that's a wild one. Um, but again, I want to be careful in saying that because there's so many evil people in the world now that like people will think that I'm talking about someone like I don't even want to name them. Let me just use Peter Griffin. I'm not saying Shango is Peter Griffin. Shango is not Peter Griffin. Um, no, in terms of what the cartoon shows and how it's presented and understood, Shango is not Peter Griffin. Um, and the problem with using fiction, so-called fictional characters, this is hard because I want to be transparent. Um, my ancestors have told me, and again, I know we live in a very secular society. So if someone comes out here and says I prayed and I actually got useful information instead of uh, sorry, I can't do this. What do you people do when you pray? I prayed to God. I feel good now. Why would you pray just to feel good? Talk to somebody. Can't do this. Sorry. Oh, I was sad, and then the invisible entity covered it. Oh no. Look, I'm a very. Let me just go. I'm a very spiritual person, but I know we need to be better. My ancestors always tell me I should have technology to talk to them now. They have business now. They're not just there to rub my a wild one. I'm sorry. Okay. All right, but let me try and get a bit more serious to make the point. So when I say Shango's a wild one, and that someone named Chibueze should be a wild one, I'm not saying they're evil. Um, I didn't want to go here. Let me just use P Diddy. I'm not saying that. Okay, that's actually not funny. Um, a lot of evil gets minimized, so people think that someone like that is just wild. No, that is someone. I mean, I've said it. Someone like P Diddy is just a vile criminal. So that's just someone you shouldn't even laugh at. That unless you just um, unless is unless you're getting out anger as you're leading them, to a cordon off section of the city. Let me say it like that. So that's not what I mean. I'm just saying he might disrupt social norms in a very explosive way for justice. That's what I mean. Anyway, but the point is, if you look at the elevated aspect of that name, he has monstrous structural integrity. It's a beast. One manifestation of that could be he's a very good athlete. You know, and I hesitate. Let me just use Ronaldinho. Um, Again, I don't know him personally. I'm just saying based on what he showed on the field, that's a monstrous athlete. By the way, look up highlights of Ronaldinho passing. I don't think people fully understand him as a player. Like, yeah, he could dribble, but there's this idea of him that he's just some happy guy dancing. That guy is a beast. Like he just cut in and then do a crossfield pass. He's almost 6 feet tall. I think people think just because he was fit enough to do an aggressive celebration after scoring, he's like I don't know. We talk about famous people like they're cartoon characters. Oh, he was nice. He was smiling. He was dancing. You don't think that guy is an aggressive world leader anyway? Um. Yeah. Anyway. I guess I'll say shout out to Ronald D. I don't know. Again, I'm not a guy who uh to say these things. There's just so many weird trends in society. You like something you saw someone did on camera, therefore, uh, like you married them now. So I'm not that guy, but I can shout out someone if they're good enough for me to use a positive example. So shout out to Ronaldinho. Um, yeah, I'll just say that. Yeah. Anyway, um, I mean, this is Peter and Paul mentioned it, man. Peter and Paul are everywhere. All right, let's go. Anyway, government shutdown. Nini Mayor, 43 days. Second point. Um, uh, they just finished with that thing now. I was reading because I get alerts on my phone. So many political machinations here, there, here, there. I know some people were blaming Democrats because, you know, apparently, I don't know what people are saying though, because it looked like the Democrats thing was they wanted funding for a healthcare measure, and I'll admit I haven't looked into like every inch of the healthcare measure. So I'm not gonna say that healthcare measure was perfect. I don't know. I haven't looked into it. But why is stopping funding for that worth destroying lives of the whole country? Like, just that doesn't make any sense. Like, the job of the government officials to run the government, so you shut it down. So basically, they just took a break. But you're an outer limits person anyway. Um, I'm not gonna pretend to be serious for the rest of this live stream. This is crazy, but anyway, I don't even know what I just saw. Um, Third point: this debacle makes it seem that the Trump administration wants to reshape the entire USA. And why do I say that? Because Trump has been doing a lot of weird things, but then the way he shut down the government, it indicates that he wants to change people's standards for government operation. So Republicans are always about small government, and it looks like they want to behave like the Joker they love so much and burn everything down really quickly. So that looks like what Trump is doing. Anyway, I'll just say that. And point four, that this whole thing has stunned me. Um, that's why I'm here talking about Peter and Paul. Anyway, let's just take a pause before I give the bonus piece of information. This is out of the red stuff, man. Yeah, man. The sun's going down too, man. When this live stream is over, check the comments also. There'll be an art piece linked there. I haven't decided which one, but there's something. Please check it out. Actually, I'll probably do the Trump tariff one. I forget exactly what I called it, but it'll be there. It relates. Um, yeah, anyway. Yeah, anyway. But, like, really, this is sad. It messed up people's lives, destabilized the whole country for an extended period of time. Um, and I also want to be very clear. I'm just gonna say it like this: the Republicans messed up in this instance, but I'm not saying that if Democrats. I'm not saying that if the president was Democratic, that things would have been much better, because Democratic administrations just do not go at Republicans very hard. I'll just say that. So we could have had either a similar debacle or something else bad would have happened in another realm. So, when trying to improve the leadership of this country, and I'll just say it like that to be quick, because you all know my position about how the United States should be restructured. But when trying to improve the governing of our country, we have to look holistically. So we can't just attack one wing of a bad group. We have to do a complete comprehensive reform. And even though we have to begin right away, the reform must happen gradually. So that is deeper than just within the system saying, let's put a different group of suit and ties in the chair. We need to change the room. Let me say it like that anyway. Bonus piece of information. Do not delete the lives of animals that are not your food except as a last resort. Do not delete the lives of animals that are not your food except as a last resort. I'll just give an example. If you see the animal we call a spider in your house, unless it's physically attacking you, do not kill it, or do not delete its life. You know, um, yeah, it's not necessary. There are other things you can do. It's better that you call animal control to come remove it than you delete its life, because animals are still people. Even though we're not supposed to pay as much attention to them as we do to people in our own category of life, uh, we must respect them. Yes. Anyway, now the double question. First, will Trump succeed in obtaining a third term? Will Trump succeed in obtaining a third term? Second, is Trump's proposed $2,000 stimulus check from the tariffs a bribe to the people? Is Trump's proposed $2,000 stimulus check from the tariffs a bribe to the people? All right, let me take a break and then I'll just quickly go through the points again. Yeah. All right. Welcome again. Let me just go before I get out of here. My name is Chimoge. You can also call me Moge. Um, let me highlight my first comment. That's a video of mine you can check out as well. Welcome to Ozibe. Welcome. I'm the founder and owner. My government name is Chimoge Chijoke Ibe. My alternate white structured name is Chimoge Chijoke Ibe Nwoko. Um, my metaphysically correct name is Chimoge Nkeron. So yeah, I'll just do that. Anyway, here to represent the points. Again, the title of this live stream is I am very concerned by the now over government shutdown USA crisis. I am very concerned by the now over government shutdown USA crisis. Let's get into the four main points. First, the United States government was shut down for a period of 43 days. It was shut down for a period of 43 days due to a failure to come to an agreement to fund the government, as in to pay its workers. So, due to Republican, machinations, government workers were not paid and the government was shut down. Second, this period has just now ended and ended in a very complicated fashion. It ended by many what I'll call political machinations. So because it was not ended in a way that is clear to the people, I think that was also an injustice because when you um, really destroy the integrity of the leadership structure, of a country. I'll say it like that. That has to be answered for very quickly and clearly. That was not done. That's inappropriate. Third, the manner in which this occurred and the fact that it occurred suggests the Trump administration wants to reshape the United States. It suggests they want to reshape the United States because it looks like they want people to get used to this type of thing. And four, this is just a personal note, this whole thing stunned me. It was very stunning. Um, it's a record shutdown. I've lived in the U.S. My whole life. I'm 27 now. I was born on January 2nd, 1998. Um, you know, I've followed politics my whole life. I will say as a kid, I did watch too much CNN. CNN is for adults. I shouldn't have watched every segment on there, but that was not because I was a bad kid. That was just because I'll say my caretakers left the TV on too long. It didn't just create a different situation. But anyway, I'm just going into that for context at this moment. So I've just followed the U.S. government my whole life. I've never seen anything like this. It's stunning. Okay, so that's not good. Anyway, those are the four main points. I'll go into this more in the future. Definitely on Chimule's comments, I'll go deeper into this. Okay, here's a bonus piece of information for higher development. Do not delete the lives of animals that are not your food except as a last resort. Do not delete the lives of animals that are not your food except as a last resort. In other words, unless you're planning to eat another animal, um, do not delete its life unless it's attacking you physically and is going to cause you significant harm. Obviously, you have the right to protect yourself. And I will say, even when protecting yourself, your aim should be to either run away, because again, there's no shame in running away. We have I'll call it a He-Man culture where people think running away is a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. If you can outrun someone strong enough to hurt you, you're even stronger than them, right? Running away is one possible objective. Another possible objective is to simply prevent yourself from getting harmed, either by stopping the weapon or whatever it is used against you, or shooing away the aggressor, right? That goes both for other, I'll just say it like this, human beings and animals, right? So I'm just saying that to say, even when defending yourself, your first thought should not be to delete the life. Not saying go naked shit. Like this. When you see me now, this is Kalaka. This is complicated. Anyway, I'm making a serious point, but people do so many ridiculous things and have so many ridiculous mindsets that my anger laugh comes out because I'm angry at injustice, but then, I laugh at evil. Anyway, the point is, if in the process of self-defense against an animal, the animal's harmed significantly in such a way that, it leaves the category of life. Let me say it like that. Uh, that's actually the proper way to say that. That's unfortunate, but that doesn't mean you did anything wrong. However, other than that, don't delete its life. Just leave it at that. Respect all life. All right, now for the double question before I close out. First, will Trump succeed in obtaining a third term? Will Trump succeed in obtaining a third term? Second question, is Trump's proposed $2,000 stimulus check, instead of just, creating a situation where people can actually have jobs, is Trump's proposed $2,000 stimulus check from the tariffs a bribe to the people?
Is Trump giving out bags of rice on election day? Let me just leave it at that. Goodbye.